debate with Kamala Harris. So that's going to be awesome. Once again, JD Vance versus Kamala Harris. What do you think the odds are of that one? I'd like to see the over-under. Kind of cool up on the screen behind me. I just saw President Trump. I just finished eating some amazing food we have here at this gathering. It's so cool. But let me just, there he is right there. Let me add him and we'll see. Add a All right.
Hey, what's
up? Hey,
up?
Ryan, are you with me, buddy?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Now, we're at the tap room, at the Pabst Tap Room in Milwaukee. Nice. So, yes, I am fully excited. I'm going to step back outside. I wanted you guys to see the inside here. It's really cool. The history behind Milwaukee and everything that goes on in this community is just fascinating. I don't know, Ryan, did you see that I jumped on earlier to Facebook and did a Facebook Live?
Yeah, I saw you were walking around outside. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was walking around just trying to give a little feel to what was happening here. I'm going to find a shaded spot because if I don't get in the shade, I won't be able to enjoy myself. I'll sweat through this shirt. But yeah, no, the RNC convention. Hey, tell me about it, because Ryan, for you guys, you may or may not know this, but there was someone shot close by to the RNC convention.
Yes. So earlier reports are somebody had a knife and a gun, or I don't know the exact details, but reports are he is dead outside the 2-mile radius of the convention. So I don't know how wide of a perimeter they have around you guys out there, but somebody on the north end of town had a weapon inside that area. Got him outside.
It's good to know. So here we go, Ryan. Many times I've talked about Escape from New York. I am literally living on the inside of the perimeter, like Snake Lipskin. It is just unbelievable what they've done to quadrant off the area around the event. I mean, I would say, probably 13 blocks have been quadrant off. Secret Service at only a select few places. And anytime you exit the perimeter, you've got to go back through the metal detectors and everything, which is, obviously we understand that, especially with the height, what happened on Saturday. And that I think is a side note compared to what is happening here. I think it's part of the reason, as I was sharing earlier, that the nomination of Trump with the vice president went so quickly, because if you probably have heard that until he was the nominee, he was at a different level of security clearance.
Yeah, as a former president, you get a smaller detail, right?
Yes.
Right.
So it's obviously changed. Now he is the nominee of the Republican Party, just as J.D. Vance is the nominee for vice president. So unanimous with that. And, it's going to be interesting going forward. I can't even start to fathom what is going through President Trump's mind as, 72 hours, 48 hours beyond what transpired with the attempt to kill him, the attempted assassination. And he was here last night in Milwaukee for the convention.
The look on his face as he walked out, I'm sure you saw him on the overhead too. I don't know how close you are to where he was, but it looked like
down the way.
It just was it was a different Trump, right? Experiencing a near-death experience that he did, you're going to have a change in attitude or perception. And you just saw a different reaction to him coming out. He was more grateful to be there. He was, I think, a more humbled individual, wouldn't you say, walking into it, as opposed to how he normally would have reacted?
Well, and and I think the key to this whole thing, and I was explaining this, in my lifetime, there have been 4 assassination attempts. Only one was successful, and that was JFK. You had Ford after JFK, then Reagan, and now Trump. So I can't even imagine what is going on in the minds of people as they're witnessing these events, because they truly are historical. It has elevated Trump to a position, because how many United States presidents have been, the victims of an assassination attempt or an assassination?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to even fathom. You can probably search and see how many presidents in the past have been attempted, but there's even more than that they don't report. They're constantly in the eye of a threat somewhere. Now there's reports that Iran had a plot attempted weeks in advance of Saturday's rally. I mean, and that was a beefed up security team that they said.
Well, and I noticed that this is how astute you are, Ryan McKenzie. Go out, share Ryan's show, the Ryan Mac Show, on YouTube and Rumble. But how astute you are, Ryan, because how many attempts have there been on the lives of presidents? Maybe every president had an attempted assassination. Historically, we don't have all the details. We rely upon historians. We rely upon people reporting at any given time in history. But we don't know all the details. In fact, the details with Trump, which I was, who would have known on Thursday when we did Thursday's episode that we would come to Tuesday, doing Tuesday's episode, we would be talking about here at the RNC convention an attempt on President Trump's life.
Yeah.
We understand that the temperature was turned up.
Oh, sure.
That the rhetoric was turned up. So much was, in other pundits, other opinionators have been predicting this for a while. Tucker, Bongino. Yeah. They said they are putting this man's life at risk.
And you look at the recent communications with Biden and his press secretary. They have not stopped the rhetoric that has probably provoked this attack. Yeah. He has doubled down and said he's still a threat to democracy.
Yeah.
So, and I listened to Steven Crowder the other day on his show talk about it. And I know some others have said we need to tone it down. And I think I'm in complete agreement. I don't think there's a toning down with this particular group of Democrats.
No.
I'm not going to apologize and tone it down, because the other side absolutely has not and will not.
Well, no, they've been turning up the heat and lying for over 7 years.
Yeah.
Every time we turn around, it's a new plot.
Yeah.
Right.
You're gonna tell me that the party suddenly is going to tone down their rhetoric after for 6-8 years of going after him and calling him Hitler, and that he's a Nazi, and calling half the country that we are the most extreme people and deserve to be punished? No, I'm sorry. I'm not toning it down.
No, I'm not toning it down. Well, and first, I don't believe we on the DPB show or the Ryan Mac show, we're not the ones out there calling to put Joe Biden in the bullseye.
Yeah.
And of course, I understand Joe came out and shared with Lester Ford that it wasn't, what he intended it to be. It wasn't the crosshairs. Yeah. He didn't say crosshairs.
And then he went and immediately attacked Trump's bloodbath comment in the same tone that he just said I wasn't in the same context. So I don't believe a word for a minute what they have said about this going forward. But it does remain to be seen what this investigation entails. We know the FBI can't be trusted with investigations. We know the Secret Service has been an abomination ever since they've implemented the DEI policies. We know that DEI at the forefront, women should not be in protective detail of a president that is 6'3" and 230 pounds. I'm sorry, but you're not tall enough to reach up and cover him. His chest to face were still uncovered. And you're going to sit here and tell me they are qualified.
Well, I can tell that Ryan Mac has been amped up, obviously waiting for the episode of Tuesday's episode. But, Ryan, so here's the analogy I'm using, okay? because we've talked at nausea about the fact that DEI is so prevalent in everything we're doing here in the United States of America. Can I ask you this question? Here comes Bob. Bob from Berwyn showing up on the scene.
Hey.
Bob's no longer in the chat. Bob, come over here and sit down next to me. Okay. I'll get you on camera here in a second. Bob had to come out and look for me because he was probably wondering, was DPB on live? And we are.
I knew Ryan, he was live. I knew it. I just didn't know where he was doing it.
Look at that. See, Bob's not in the chat today. Bob is live.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Bob. Hey.
So getting back to the point, here's what I've been telling people with DEI hires. Do you think there's an NFL quarterback that would want a DEI hire? Could you imagine a DEI hired for an offensive lineman to protect a quarterback?
No, my wife, Amanda, is about 5'4.5". Patrick Mahomes is at least 6'4" or 6'5". You're going to tell me 5 or 6, 5'4", average height women can block a 6'5" quarterback? Uh-oh, did we lose him? Yeah, so the analogy of the DEI is insane. The comparison that you wouldn't want 5'4" inch females guarding and blocking 300, 400 plus pound NFL linemen. And the fact that the Secret Service director has not been upfront about this and continues to put the blame on, well, it was local law enforcement. That's who was to blame and not DEI. You got Melissa McCarthy guarding the president who couldn't reach his chest. That's where we're at. DEI has resulted in almost losing the front runner of the presidential election. Looks like we're trying to get DPB back online. Anyway, the conversation, I think I'm still live on his end. Hey, look. Now? Yeah, I can hear you. I was continuing the conversation.
You were talking. Okay.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And I heard nothing that you said.
Yeah.
This is the downside of doing the DPB show from your iPhone. Is
that's
that
all right.
As soon as Kat tried calling me, which I didn't understand. Kat Peterson, if you're listening to my show right now, you cannot call when I'm doing an iPhone show because it knocks me off the camera.
Yeah. But
I'm giving Kat a hard time.
It's the same analogy, right? The director of the Secret Service has come out and not taken blame and responsibility, and instead doubled down on the fact that either it was local or I've done everything I can to secure that rally. And we have Melissa McCarthy type character all over media because she's in front of the car, can't holster her weapon. And we have women on the force more worried about their sunglasses falling off their face and their shirts tucked in than they are securing the body. And if you go out and listen to Dan Bongino's coverage of this, he's somebody that spent 12 years in the Secret Service. He knows exactly the detailed coverage of a president and the body. And his breakdown of this is even more inside that I can even explain. But just from an outsider's perspective, you and I are watching this unfold. There is so much more beyond incompetence going on. It almost seems intentional without going down that path.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and you know what? There is so much more to this, and it's going to continue to unfold. We don't even begin scratch of the scratch of what has taken place. You know, it's amazing. Here you have the life of a 20-year-old kid, for the most part, confused, possibly mentally ill. You know, at the end of the day, anybody who tries to attempt to kill another person has some type of mental illness. Killing people is a mental illness.
Yeah,
it is. And now a lot of people are going to say, oh, but wait a minute, David, when you say that killing people is a mental illness, and then are you alluding to the fact that people who kill their children are mentally ill. Well, I do believe that women who have abortions suffer forms of mental illness after they abort their baby.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Yeah. And we can sit here and play, well, he was a Republican, he was a liberal, whatever the case. There was evil abound no matter what he supported. And a deranged individual within millimeters of taking out a presidential candidate. That's how close this was. No matter what other information comes out about his past, the security breakdown is more important of a question. How does this happen in 2024?
It gets back to its outcome base, right, Ryan? The
Yeah.
fact that it doesn't matter who's on first, what's on second. I don't know's on third. The old Abbott and Costello shtick.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, shots were fired at a rally of a potential presidential nominee, a former president. Yep. And you know, the jury's out for a lot of the people who are out there in the land of social media, the land of the platforms that we podcast on.
Yep.
Whether Trump, you know, what is the status of the American presidency in light of 2020, in light of 2016, in light of everything that has transpired since Trump decided to get himself in the game of politics? Because you were just mentioning earlier about Trump's state of mind, his how he appeared on camera last night at the Republican National Committee, and Trump's appearance. I could see Trump across the way, and you know, he was definitely more somber in his appearance during some of the speeches, especially the Teamster president of the Teamsters Union, Mr. O'Neill, right?
Yeah,
is I think his name. Trump stood and was listening intently, and he did not sit down. And there was an aura about him. Now, there are reports that once he got to the tunnel, he definitely appeared to be very emotionally taken back by what he just experienced. But can you even begin to imagine? Part of what he was running on was adrenaline.
Oh, yeah.
The shock of standing in a podium and having bullets whiz by your ear to the extent that it nicks your ear.
Yeah.
And could have, you know, been the bullet that killed you.
Yeah. That shot was designed to take out the latter half of his head. And he never moves his neck at all when he speaks. He turns his body and shifts his body at the podium. The fact that he turns his neck only at that exact moment suggests that there's no other reason than divine intervention. You want more proof that God has intervened at that moment. Look right there.
Yeah, without question. I say that a lot. I know that I do the without question, but I can't help myself. Anyhow, hey, we're here in Milwaukee, Ryan.
Yeah.
21 minutes to the DPB show, live on YouTube, X, Rumble, and Facebook. Who would have ever thought? You know, Bob for Berwyn, as I went to bed last night, it was around 11 o'clock, he said, so what's your show going to be about? And on the bus ride out here, we talked about so many things. You know, J.B. Pritzker is lauding that he's reached $1 billion in sales. I said, oh, that's great, because it's taking $2 billion to reach $1 billion. It's the Illinois way, right? You spend $2 billion in agency positions and hirings to sell legal marijuana in the state of Illinois, and it's been 6 years since we legalized it and started selling it to get to $1 billion in sales, and it basically runs our state. How much money a year to get $2 billion? We probably spend at least that every year. We've got to be spending at least $1 billion in agency programs. So it's funny. I mean, we're going to continue to see reports like this. But Bob kept asking, what's the show going to be about today? And I said, well, it's really simple. We are sitting here as history is being made.
Yeah.
Vice President nominee candidate J.D. Vance was not my pick. Obviously, I told you guys I was a Ben Carson guy. JD Vance is the guy at 39 years of age, right?
What is your
How
thoughts
can
on
we go wrong?
him? Because his history
You know, I
of
don't.
the things that he said, and then he apologized a couple years ago, and so the right and left are going to attack him. Biden Harris is already trying to use his things against him, what he said. But describe the difference in what you felt hearing him and seeing him recently and speaking.
So he hasn't officially taken the stage. He did a Fox News interview yesterday afternoon after his nomination. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that he's equipped to be the vice president of the United States. The vice presidential debate is going to be awesome. I think we're going to see his skills on display against Kamala. Can you imagine? You think it was bad, Trump versus Biden this year in the debate? Wait till you see JD Vance versus Kamala.
Oh my
gosh.
Guys,
you like that? I got a little audience. First time I've actually had a physical audience in the background. Bob from Berwyn's going to be back out here, but you know, it's a beautiful day here in Milwaukee. It's gotten into the mid 70s. We're sitting outside. We're under shade trees. So it's the DPB show. I know that Bob didn't give you guys a lot of insight to what you guys were sitting in on, but DPB, yours truly, obviously feeling a little vindicated today. Now that we're here at the RNC, yours truly, back in January of 2021, had the FBI at his door. Can you guys imagine? Yeah, I was a J6er. So there is a little vindication. Seeing a guy like JD Vance, seeing these things happen, it is impressive. I mean, right before our very eyes, we are seeing history made. I guess, Darren LaHood, Congressman LaHood was saying this earlier. I heard him on an interview. JD Vance is the youngest vice presidential candidate since Nixon. And that's been how many years?
Yeah.
A very long time. 39 years of age.
Yep.
1952. See, I have a historian in the audience. The audience of one. It was an audience of three. Actually, an audience of two because my sidekick. Hey, Bob, I just have one thing. Was there a spotted cow on the table?
I think so.
You better go get that spotted cow. You can't leave that abandoned on the table. Ryan, I left my beer inside. Bob's going to go grab it for me.
Oh, that's a law broke right there. You can't leave your beer behind.
I had to go. I looked at the clock. It was 4:06.
Yeah.
It took us a while. So let me get back. And I don't want to, you know, if you could only see what we are experiencing up here. I think it is.
What's the mood? What's the reaction?
What I thought would happen. So what I thought would happen, I'll tell you the reaction to JD Vance is very positive. But let me get to the reaction that yours truly had upon seeing the security up here in Milwaukee, especially coming off of Saturday's event. When I was at January 6th and at the Ellipse Center, which is the south lawn of the White House, between the south lawn of the White House and the White
Oh, and he's gone again. DPB was just starting to tell his reaction at the January 6th when he was about his reaction from
the water.
Yeah.
Local police. Hey, you still there? No, still waiting. So DPB was at January 6th, and he saw the security there, and he's about to break down the security level at the RNC, which has been a very large presence. And he's had about 13 block radius blocked off. So as soon as he gets his Apple iPhone working again, we'll get him back on. But that's what we're doing right now is getting the RNC groundwork with DPB and others that are there. The stories of the Trump assassination, the security breakdowns, the RNC is on lockdown as far as security. You can't go very far without having a uniformed member. And you saw the reaction of President Trump walking out last night. The first night, he had several men in front of him, the Secret Service. And now that he's nominated officially, he gets Secret Service the full detail. So you're going to see, hopefully, a better detail going forward. But DPB was talking about the experience of seeing the full presence just at the RNC. So that has been really good to see. Hey, don't worry, I'm filling in the gaps.
Okay. This is a failure, you know, but I take pride in the fact to know that Dan Bongino and others have just as bad technical difficulties in their show. Cindy Bailey was just calling me because she's wondering if we were in the arena or not yet, because the session is going to start.
Yeah,
So,
I know it's starting here pretty soon.
I know we're 28 minutes in this. I'm not going to belabor it, but I really want to get this point out. So when I was at January 6th and I was looking at the security detail of the inauguration of at that time, President Biden, right? Mm-hmm. The security level in Washington, D.C. really stinks versus what, I mean, it's no different. If we look at the security that was provided out in Pennsylvania for President Trump versus what the security level is here, it is literally, there are only a few places where you could exit the perimeter of this event, which is 13 to 14 blocks in a perimeter, almost around the entire downtown of Milwaukee.
And how long in advance do they plan for this event?
In fact, it's an effort to leave the perimeter. In fact, every time I've left the perimeter, meaning we've been here 2 days, so leaving the perimeter twice, it's still sunny out here. There's not a lot of shade. And every place you go, you have to walk if you get outside the perimeter. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen more law enforcement in my life. You have Secret Service. You have U.S. Capitol Police. You have state police from Wisconsin. You have city municipal police. You have Secret Service. You have, you name it. Homeland Security is on every bus, has a Homeland Security officer. Why? And I'm not belaboring this. Mm-hmm. Did we not see that kind of protection for a former president?
How long out did the RNC get planned for Milwaukee? About a year they've known, right?
Hold on, I don't know. Your mic. Hold on. Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna have to add Ryan back in real quick.
You can't hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear. Well, see, so the simple nuances of learning how to do Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble Lives is, as soon as Cindy Bailey was calling me, it knocked the entire StreamYard thing out of, it created chaos.
Yeah. So about a year about a year in advance, they known about the RNC being in Milwaukee, right? So they've had time to plan out the security details. If they can block off 13 blocks for the RNC, why couldn't they get 150 yards of coverage at a rally?
Exactly, which is my concern, right? It's where we are at in the world today. The RNC committee raised almost $85 million in order to put on this convention here in Milwaukee. So that's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
So this was a bipartisan effort because the mayor of Milwaukee is a Democrat. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe he is of the thought process because he understands the economics behind bringing an event like this. Ryan, the amount of money that is being spent in Milwaukee along Lake Michigan this weekend, or this week, I should say, probably is close to, I don't know, if I were to guess, you're probably looking at an economic impact well over 100 million. It'll be interesting to see what the final number is.
Yeah.
But it could approach $200 million in revenue to the state of Wisconsin, the city of Milwaukee, and the surrounding areas. I know there are delegations that are staying in Madison, Wisconsin, because they couldn't get hotel rooms in Milwaukee. So that in of itself is fascinating. The coordination, the logistics behind having, when they leave an event, it is something to behold. I've never seen as many tour buses pull up, and they're staged. And as soon as one is full, the one backs up, pulls out, another one pulls in its spot. Last night we had the rain, not nearly as hard and as severe as Illinois did. I know that my daughter Cassidy, who earlier called while I was trying to do a Facebook Live, I wanted to hear her voice rather than be on Facebook Live. And she was reporting that they are without power, and now they're reporting that it could have been, a few days. I'm hoping that she gets her power back on because A, she's pregnant. B, she works, her and her husband both work as critical care nurses in Champaign. Their days are very long, 12-hour shifts. And then they have a little puppy dog, Teddy, my granddog, my wife and I's granddog, Teddy. So we want Teddy to be air conditioned because I don't know what the temperature is like today back home in Illinois, but it's in the mid 70s here in Milwaukee. It's kind of regulated a little bit. It was 90 plus yesterday. It was miserable. So walking to and fro and outside of the perimeter, it's much easier and much better when you don't have to be sweating through an entire shirt. Yours truly didn't sweat through the shirt. But yeah, I said a lot there without saying anything, didn't I, Ryan?
Oh, that was fine. That reminded me of the upcoming vice presidential debate with Kamala answering a question. So you're good.
I gave my Kamala answer where I said much. Kamala Harris, a woman who, like Pete Buttigieg, can say more things without ever saying anything.
Yep. Oh, man. So when does the next official session start? About 5 o'clock?
We're going to head back there. It's 4:44 right now. 5:30 is when the next session starts. We've got to be making our way back there. I'm going to keep as many things being broadcasted out. I'm down to 29% battery life. I'm just running through my battery, which means my iPhone 12 is definitely getting towards the end of its life. I'm hoping to upgrade soon, but I will be, checking in. We're back on Thursday. Thursday is Super Bowl, right? This is where Trump's going to come out and speak. So between now and then, we're going to have tons of speakers, tons of things that are coming forward, information, people talking about, like Dan Bongino said, every day we're going to learn more and more about what transpired in Pennsylvania in the assassination attempt of President Trump. But I think the momentum and the feeling that I'm getting here in Milwaukee, I've never experienced anything like it politically. Of course, I've had plenty of life events that are much greater than an RNC convention. Come on, let's be real, right?
Yeah. If
politics is the high note of life, then you need to go get a different hobby or a different Jesus.
You know what? I think we should plan on next time, the next 4 years, if they have it, wherever they have it. You and I should do media up there in a Rumble setup.
Well, I
if you're not a delegate,
I can't even find Bongino.
He's on Radio Row.
He must be in a bunker deep underneath the arena somewhere because I even saw him on his studio. Heck, Bongino, you should have come out here to the Pabst Cap Room and done your live here because I know Bongino likes to be out there partying a little bit. He would have enjoyed this place. Plus, I think it would have been a better setup for him. But I don't know if he would have gotten too distracted. I think that Dan requires, being hyper-focused. So do I. I appreciate the gentleman over here to my right that was out working. I kind of invaded his space because I was looking for a shaded area. I happened to move across the courtyard at the outdoor beer garden here at Pep's Tap Room. And I hope that I'm providing some relief for him because he probably was like, dude, I came out here to work and you came in and you invaded my workspace. Sorry. I was too concerned about making sure that we kept the DPB show going. The one thing I want to reassure you and is that the ability to bring information to kind of take you guys inside of where I'm going, what I'm seeing. You know, I know that you guys do other things as you guys sound. I sound like Bongino now, but you don't have the time to head to the RNC, and not everybody can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel very blessed that I was able to come up here. But for you to experience what's happening here, you're living vicariously, or I'm living, I don't know, one way or the other. I'm living vicariously through your eyes, or you're living vicariously through me, depending on the comments in the comments section. But this is unique, you know, being able to just break away, do the DPB show on the fly on my iPhone, because this is what we have, right? I don't have a traveling studio. Back in the day when I was at Cities 92.9, I had a traveling studio. I could take a mic with me, and I had little dials, but you know, this is much easier. I don't have dials, but I also am not trying to add content in the show. I can, but boy, oh boy, we could be in for the magical mystery tour if I start playing with the buttons on my iPhone, trying to get content up on the screen.
Yeah, that'll be an adventure.
Hey, we're at 40 minutes. I need to head back to the RNC. Yep. Cindy Bailey called, Kat called, Kat Peterson. I was jumped on with Kat yesterday. I think she's trying to get me to do something with her, so I'm going to try to check in with her, give her the update of RNC. I will say this. So on the way to the tap room, I crossed paths with Rodney Davis, former Congressman Rodney Davis.
Yeah.
I happened to come, and one of the first people I see at the tap room is Mary Miller, the Congresswoman Mary Miller, who defeated Rodney Davis. I asked her, I said, what's Rodney up to these days? Well, he's a lobbyist, and he's trying to, you know, do this and that, which is fitting. It is fitting, right? Because this is how these folks live. They live off the backs of people, lobbyists. Lee Zeldin, the congressman from New York that ran for governor, he did an amazing job at the breakfast this morning. You talk about the real deal, it's Lee Zeldin. He is the real deal. Bob is, I wish I could flip the camera around. I'm sure I probably can. If I look at,
well, let me know, and I'll give it a thumbs up.
Nope, I can't. I was trying to flip. Bob, come over here. Come over here and get it.
Stand behind you?
No, yeah, you can stand behind me. Yeah, that's a good idea.
There you go.
This is my sidekick for the week. There he is, Bob, Berwin Bob.
Back again, Ryan.
There he is. There he is. To be in a hotel room with Bob, Berwin Bob, from Berwin Township around Chicago, this man has had more life experience. He can obviously identify with the Teamster leader last night that spoke. He gets it inside and out. I actually would like to have Bob maybe on Thursday, since he'll now have almost the entire experience, get on and share his experience. It's one thing for me to share my experience. It would be cool to hear Bob's experience, and we'll have to, you know, we'll have to do that on Thursday. But Bob and I are going to sign off for now because we've got to head back to the convention. And the beautiful thing about it is, I almost thought I was going to lose Bob on the way here because he had to come uphill. He had to come uphill to reach the tap room, and I'll tell you, it was an effort to get here. But going back, it's all downhill, Bob.
Yeah,
it's all downhill. Hey, there's Pam Kuchameister. Hold on.
I'm giddy, Ryan. I'm giddy. I got Gucci's last night.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, real quick before we jump off, we'll go to 45 minutes. Tell everybody about your experience when Trump came walking in.
When Trump came walking in, and we're all watching his face, his reaction, his emotions. You could hear a pin drop. I mean, everybody's clapping, but you know what I mean by that. You hear a pin drop because everybody's focusing on him. And I think he was fighting back tears, and I got goosebumps.
Yeah, I bet.
Especially with Lee Greenwood. I mean, that was the first time we heard God the USA, you know.
Yep.
And yes. And Pam is right. He seemed very humble. And that Ryan earlier, he did seem very humble. And as all of us would be, right? Basically, the knife was at his throat. The gunman had him in his bullseye or crosshairs, depending. Just don't ask Joe which one he had him in, because Joe's changed his tune, and that's going to continue to roll itself out. We're going to find out more and more. In fact, I'm looking forward to going back there, because I think we're going to find out a lot tonight. But I look forward to coming back and seeing you guys live.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you have any final thoughts, things you want me to tune in on?
I sure did. Our Right Side
Jumbotron,
Broadcasting Network. Yeah, I saw that. I'll be watching again tonight, day 2. I'll fill you in if I get any breaking news. I'll send you a text. But I love your inside information.
Well, and thank you, Ryan, for keeping me up to date on what's happening. I appreciate the reports. You're just doing it for the people that are willing to expand beyond where they've been in the past. We're still creating the content, providing the source of conservative news in the central Illinois area. Glad to have Kat back on Cities 92.9, but we're not going to stop what we're doing, because we know there is so much yet ground to cover, and we're just getting started. We're just getting started. So, as I always say, I love you. Jesus loves you more. Until next time, Ryan, farewell, my friend, and keep me updated.
I will. See you guys.
All right, brother. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.